everybody, it's Elaine here. How are you? Holistic nutritionist and plant food enthusiast. I'm here to teach you how to make a red lentil dal. So dal is an Indian food. It's actually an ingredient. It's the pulses, the beans, the legumes that are used that are split. So dal means split, but sometimes we make that with not split beans and things like that too. So it's a combination of all these different legumes, or pulses as they call them, with different ingredients, and we use a lot of the Indian spices to make it taste really flavorful. We can temper the spices by putting the oil in first and then putting some of the spices in there and bringing out the fragrance and the flavor of those spices. So I'm gonna go ahead and start making something. I'm gonna use some vegan ghee, and I'm just gonna put that in the bottom of the pan. I'm using just about a tablespoon or so. If you don't wanna use any oil, you don't have to. You can just use water or veggie broth, that's okay too. That works just fine. So you can use maybe coconut oil. Maybe this is a mixture of coconut oil and some other things to make a vegan ghee, which is clarified butter, so you can use that as well. Very nourishing for the digestive system and things like that too, but you can also use avocado oil too, because it's a high smoke point, so it doesn't matter. So I'm putting that in there, and then what I'm gonna do is I have cumin seeds. I'm gonna put the cumin seeds in here as soon as that melts just a little bit. And I'm going to get those nice and fragrant. So it's just over about a teaspoon of those. Put those in there. I'm gonna get my wooden spoon to use today. And I'm just gonna make sure that I'm moving them around for less than a minute because I don't want them to burn, but I just want them to get nice and fragrant. Ooh, yeah, if you could even smell that already. It's that vegan ghee, or you can use regular ghee, like I said, and the smell of those cumin seeds really is awesome. So in here, after I do that, making sure that they don't burn, I'm gonna add my onions. I can also add some of the other spices, but I'm gonna add my onions first. I'm gonna do about a full onion. So I already have some chopped onions that I had from my class that I did recently. So I'm just gonna use some of those. You can use whatever color onion you want. The red or the purple onion is usually really good to use when you're having raw onions, but it doesn't matter. Just use what you got, make it simple, right? And the way to chop those is you can buy them already chopped if you want to, but simply peel them, chop them. You can do halfway and halfway the other way and chop them pretty quickly with a nice butcher knife, or you can put them in a food processor. I just cut them in fours and put them in a food processor, make it happen super fast. So that's another way to cook them really fast. So now I'm gonna let that cook for just a few minutes until that gets a little bit translucent. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add some of the other things. We're gonna add the garlic. So remember your garlic, you can use fresh garlic, and you can use and peel it. You can just pop it with a knife and to open it up. I already have that done so I can make it super fast to do the demo for you guys. But remember, when you let your garlic sit for a little bit, the chemical, the allicin in the garlic comes out a little bit, and it's really good for your body. So I'm just gonna put the garlic. If you wanna add more, add more. If you don't wanna do less, you can do that as well, right? So we're gonna add some garlic in there. And then also minced ginger. So you can buy the ginger root. Just go ahead and gently peel the outside. Some people don't even peel the outside. And we put just chop it with your little butcher knife, and then we're gonna put some of that in there too. This recipe actually has about 2 teaspoons of ginger. So I have about that in this little cut up jar here, container. I'm just gonna put that all in there. So we get our ginger in there. Ginger is really good for your digestive system as well. We're gonna mix that around. And there's lots of steam coming up. Hello. So we got that coming up, and we're gonna do that until that's fragrant. And then we're gonna add our other spices. So the other spices, we're gonna add turmeric, anti-inflammatory turmeric. So let's go ahead and do that. It's about a teaspoon of that. There's our turmeric. You can get it anywhere. So I'm just gonna put it in there and put it right like that. Perfect. And then we're gonna go ahead and do a little bit of cumin. So besides the cumin seeds, we're using cumin. That's used a lot in Indian cooking, by the way, and it gives it nice, really flavor. I use the cumin in quite a few beans dishes and things like that. So we're putting cumin in there. We're putting a little coriander in there as well. There we go, about a teaspoon of that. And a little bit of cayenne pepper. If you don't want to have it spicy, you don't have to put the cayenne pepper in there, but I'm gonna put a little bit of cayenne in there. Optional, everything's optional. If you just had some cumin and you had some turmeric and you didn't have the other ones, it would still be fine. You don't have to have all those other ones if you don't want to. Now we could use, you don't have to add it to make it taste like an Indian dish. So right now I'm going to add some garam masala, which is is just a mix of different herbs and things like that, or different spices that are put together in the blend called garam masala. So in there we've got things like cumin, again, black pepper, which black pepper is really good when you have turmeric because it brings out the chemical in the turmeric to make it anti-inflammatory. So you want to always add, if you're adding turmeric, you always want to add some black pepper in there too as well, okay? So I'll be doing that a little bit. But it actually has some other things, cinnamon and cardamom and coriander and things like that too. So it's a nice mix that's used in a lot of Indian cooking. So you can put a teaspoon in there, or you don't have to use a whole teaspoon if you just want to put a little bit in there. Everything's optional, right? But that's how they usually make the dal on this one. Yeah, so we're gonna mix it around for a couple more minutes. We already took our masoor. This is red lentils. You don't have to buy it to say that, but that is what it's usually called, is masoor dal, which is red lentils. You can buy those anywhere in a bulk or in a package and just use that. You can rinse them off. You don't have to, these cook down almost like a really soft, like the other type of lentils are a little bit more chunky. But these ones are soft, and so they break down easy. You can just rinse them off really well. You don't have to soak them if you don't want to. So that's that, and I already rinsed them off. It's going. And I'm just gonna add my red lentils. Now we're using a little bit of veggie broth. And you remember, you can make your own. You just cut off the ends of some of your vegetables and you put them in the freezer, and then you can put them in a big pot with water and just simmer them for a while, a couple hours, and then you can strain them, and then you've got your own veggie broth. It's really great to have all the vegetables that you're using the ends of and just use that. But I used the low sodium one. The peppers in there get me. Low sodium from Trader Joe's is a really good price, and it doesn't have any weird oils and things like that in there. And it's about 4 cups in here, so that's how much I'm putting in there. You can always add more salt if you need to, but it's always nice to be able to salt it myself instead of having a lot in the veggie broth, right? And then, of course, when I make it on my own, there's not salt in there, and I add my own pace, right? Okay, so I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to continue to simmer it for a little bit and cook uncovered for about 8 to 10 minutes, and I'll be back to show you the rest. Okay, now that our lentil dal has cooked for about 8 to 10 minutes, I just simmered that, I'm going to go ahead and add in the tomatoes, and let's put those in. I've got about 2 cups of chopped up tomatoes, no, about 1 cup. Looks like I have a little bit more than that. That's fine. I had 3 Roma tomatoes, so I cut those up to put in there. And we're going to add some coconut milk to make it nice and creamy. I love to put that in. You can make your own cashew cream, but coconut milk is really great. This is the one that I have. This is the one that I've been using because it's nice and creamy. When you buy the one at Trader Joe's, it doesn't have any gargum in it, which, you know, I don't really want, but it's not going to hurt me. In most cases, it'll be fine for you. But the one at Trader Joe's winds up being really, really clumpy because it doesn't have that to make it smooth. So this one's very nice and creamy. I'm going to add that in there. Beautiful. Good, you can see it. I can get these at Costco for a really good price. So anytime you can buy in bulk at Costco and just keep them in the closet, that would be a lot cheaper because they were over $3 a can at Sprouts recently. So this makes it nice and creamy. It's a really cold, windy night. You can have this any time of the year, but for now, it's gonna be really nice. I'm gonna add in a little bit of my chopped vegetables. So I like to put in chopped greens as well. So I chopped them up, and I'm gonna show you how I did what I had. These are like kale. I've got Swiss chard, a little bit of mustard greens, all from my inside vertical tower garden where I can grow it inside no matter what the weather is like. I'm just chiffoning it, just chopping them a little bit smaller. And then I get a lot of different variety of greens. Remember, I always talk about having 30 different plants in 1 week as much as you can. So I've got the Swiss chard, I got mustard greens, I've got some kale in there, blue Russian kale or red Russian kale, and some blue kale. So I think I might even have broccoli leaves in here that was growing on the inside tower garden. So I just chop up the broccoli leaves. How great is that? And put those in there and then cook it just a little bit longer. So I'll show you a picture of it when it's done. This is beautiful. I think you can kind of see it online, but we're just gonna cook it for another 5-10 minutes. And we're pretty much ready to eat it. It's that fast, you guys, especially with the red lentils. They cook super fast. So we're just gonna let those tomatoes cook down a little bit, and everything just kind of jiving together. I also added a little bit of asafoetida, which is hing. Forgot to put them in earlier, but it gives it a pungy flavor. It really helps with the flavor of the Indian food. So with that, you can get online too. Asafoetida, hing. If you want the recipe, just let me know. Okay, enjoy. I'll post a picture as well.